Guys, we need to talk about this, and I don't even care if I get copyright claimed.
Forget it. Mrs. Foreman, I'm gay.
Hello, bienvenue, welcome back. People have started calling me Phoenix, and I'm just gonna roll with it. I recently sat down and watched that 90s show, and if you remember last year when it was announced, I actually did a video about its predecessor, that 70s show. And with the original writers and creators, and even important cast members returning, I was stoked, and I had a pretty damn good reason to be, because this is a good sequel. They've learned where other shows have failed, and they actually wielded nostalgia for good. They managed to make it feel like coming home, but somehow completely new at the same time. It was different, not more of the same, which is how the other shows failed. Think about it this way. When you try to bring characters of the past into the present, it shatters an illusion. That 70s show used nostalgia of a simpler time. And now we're just checking in, sort of popping in for a visit. Without the complexity of the modern world, we still maintain that image of a simpler time, the 90s. That 90s show is set 15 years after that 70s show, which ended with the New Year's countdown into the 1980s. And honestly, the timeline kind of just doesn't make sense. Donna would already have to be pregnant with Leia in the finale, which means that Eric knocked Donna up right there in the driveway, or Leia's not actually Eric's, which could make a very interesting plotline in the future. But Jay Kelso, he's the supposed son of Jackie and Kelso, and he should have been born in the 70s. Like, he should have been born before the original show ended, because he's older than Leia. Not only that, but what happened to Kelso's daughter Betsy? Okay, let's focus on the positive right now. You're probably wondering about how we got from here.
But it's not me.
You're gay! Me? No, I'm not gay.
To here.
Restarting. So, we have about 5 minutes. Forget it. Mrs. Foreman, I'm gay. I've known for a while now, and I wanted you to know. I even have a boyfriend, Etienne, who lives in Canada.
See, that's what that 70s show did so well, is they made the everyday teenage problems relatable without isolating the audience. They didn't rely on the 70s for story and comedy and character. Neither did that 90s show. Because when you're a teen, well, you're a teen. It's a universal experience regardless of the decade. I see my teen years in both that 70s show and that 90s show, and I wasn't a teen in either. It's about the characters, the relationships, the friends, the family. Some things are just timeless. It doesn't hurt that 90s fashion is coming around in style again, which, why? But it's that focus on new characters that allows that 90s show to succeed where other reboots failed. Because while they're focused on the past, that 90s show stands on its own, with minor cameos, and of course Leo. When you think about it, the real stars of the show are Red and Kitty, because we're privy to that experience, that growth of them becoming parents and grandparents, which is relatable while being hilarious because they're clueless. We have 3 generations. We have the baby boomers, with Red and Kitty and even Bob. Then we have Gen X, with Donna, Eric, and the OG teens. And then we finally have the millennials, the new teens in the basement. It's Leia and her friends. And it's these characters that allow that 90s show to succeed. We have new stories, new characters, new romances, and new conflicts. All while still being familiar. That 90s show tried hard, and they actually did a lot of things right. We have racial diversity, inclusion of gender and sexuality, and it actually passed the Bechdel test. Our main group of teens is split 50-50 with 3 girls and 3 guys, which is already an improvement on the original show. Also, the kids are actually played by kids. With the exception of Mila Kunis in the original show, all the teens were played by adults. And Fez was the only person of color, a completely stereotypical immigrant character that was usually the butt of the joke. Exploring sexual identity in the 90s is pretty interesting. For a kid to actually be out in the 90s is huge, especially an Asian kid in a small town. So the fact that Ozzy is even out to his friends is amazing. Leia's from the big city, so she's a little surprised that he's still closeted. But he still has immediate acceptance from his friends, and those he chooses to come out to, which is refreshing. Far too often, someone's queerness is a point of conflict. Unfortunately, as it stands, Ozzy is the token gay character. It's like the show was just trying to tick off the box on the inclusivity checklist they had going by giving us a stereotype. Don't get me wrong, Ozzy is a delight, and I would love to meet this mythical boyfriend from Montreal, and we have a beautiful coming out story. His scene with Kitty is spectacular. She is the embodiment of the grandma character that we all want. She's loving and accepting, and she acknowledges that what Ozzy does is brave and absolutely terrifying.
Well, I don't know how I feel about this.
Oh.
My friend Sharon married a Canadian man, and he made off with her Toyota wagon. And her cat's ashes were in there, and she is a mess.
But you're okay with me being gay?
Well, of course I am. Oh, sweet boy, get in here.
Her biggest issue with him coming out is the fact that his boyfriend is Canadian, which, hey, we're lovely people. But that long distance is part of the problem. It allows them to take risks without actually taking risks. There is no explicit queerness, and yet the straight characters have tons of opportunity to explore their sexuality and romance. An entire episode focuses just on Leia trying to get her first kiss. So here's hoping that Etienne visits in season 2, because good queer content is appreciated rather than the usual hate-fueled, unhappy endings we usually get. I know a lot of people want to see Gwen and Leia together, which I get. They have that total meet cute girl next door thing. But I'm going to be honest. I'm quite content to get healthy female friendship. Something we don't usually get to see. And usually I'm the first to find the gay in anything, but guys, and I can't believe I'm saying this, not everything has to be gay. And as I said, the show actually passes the Bechdel test with wholesome female friendships. And the variety of romantic relationships that it's introduced are a whole lot less toxic than its predecessor, though it did reintroduce the whole Jackie Kelso thing, which is a major strike in my opinion. Not only did they wipe out all of Kelso's development, but they also regressed Jackie back to square one in one small scene. So instead of the woman she had grown to become, we got this.
Gross! I don't want old guy blood all over my wedding outfit.
You're getting married?
Remarried.
That's our second remarriage. Well, this one's gonna stick, right?
Yeah.
I've already said that Jay's existence doesn't actually make sense, but if they so desperately wanted one of the kids to be a Kelso, well, they could have made it Casey's kid. Surprisingly, Fez made it out the best. He went from shampoo boy to salon owner, though Fez, my French brain is hurting. Jackie and Kelso don't make sense, but neither does Donna having a kid so young, especially as a staunch feminist. She wanted to go to school, she wanted to have a career, she had goals, which were part of the relationship problems she had with Eric. I will say at least she did get out of Point Place, even if Eric probably did knock her up in that driveway. I think one of my biggest issues with the show is its length, which is more a Netflix thing. It doesn't have that typical 20-episode runtime that the traditional sitcom has. So the characters aren't established. We barely got to know them, and they're already gone. I'm hoping to get attached to them. Maybe. And this is something that can be remedied in season 2 because Netflix did pick it up for a season 2. Overall, I loved the show. I am super stoked for season 2. And you know what? Kitty Foreman is still the best TV mom ever.